Let's look at the next paragraph. Starts with a major right there. A major European impact on the Native Americans was the introduction of diseases like smallpox. Their immune system was not prepared to fight those new diseases. The traditional Native American medicines did not work well against those diseases, and some tribes were totally wiped out by the sicknesses. So when the Europeans came over, they had some enfermedades that the Native Americans had never had. And because of this, it killed many Indians because they were unable, their bodies were not prepared to fight these diseases. Let me read this paragraph in Spanish, and you can see how well you understood it. Un gran impacto europeo en los nativos americanos fue la introducción de enfermedades como la viruela. Su sistema inmunológico no estaba preparado para combatir esas nuevas enfermedades. Las medicinas tradicionales de los nativos americanos no funcionaban bien contra esas enfermedades y algunas tribus fueron totalmente aniquiladas por las enfermedades. Qué triste, huh? And the sad thing is that the Europeans, they did not really care that they were not helping the Indians. Some Europeans brought medicines to help the Indians when they would get sick from their diseases, but most of them didn't. They saw it as an opportunity to take what the Indians had for free because now the Indians were gone. So it was very sad what happened. And so the amistad that they had was leaving because of the things that the Europeans would do to the Indians. Let's read a little more about that in the next paragraph. It says, many times. Many times, Europeans grew frustrated trying to communicate with the Native Americans. When they discovered that they did not have gold, jewels, or other riches the explorers wanted, they started treating them cruelly, sometimes even making them slaves. Stop there. So they were not happy, excuse me, I dropped something. Here we go. They were not happy when they found out that the Indians didn't have very much that they wanted. They had some things, like I said, that they were able to trade, but not everything. They didn't have all the gold that they imagined. They imagined that America was full of gold and silver and valuable things like that, and jewels, but it wasn't. It was very much like Europe, didn't have the same things. And so they were not happy, and they wanted to get whatever they could out of these Native Americans, and so they began to enslave some of them even. Let's read this in Spanish. Muchas veces los europeos se frustraron tratando de comunicarse con los nativos americanos. Cuando descubrieron que no tenían oro, joyas u otras riquezas que los exploradores quieran, comenzaron a tratarlos cruelmente, a veces incluso haciéndolos esclavos. That is very triste, huh? Because nobody deserves to be treated like a slave. That was a sad, unfortunate thing that happened. Let's read the last paragraph because we still need to get to the questions and we're running out of time. The Native Americans believed that the earth and land was owned by everyone. It didn't take too long before many European settlers were building new colonies and forcing the Native Americans to change their way of life and move to new areas. Los nativos americanos creían que la tierra era propiedad de todos. No hizo mucho tiempo antes de muchos colonos europeos construyeron nuevas colonias y obligando a los nativos americanos a cambiar su forma de vida y trasladarse a nuevas áreas. So they would make them move to places that were not as good because they wanted their land. That was very selfish, right? It was very sad what happened to the Native Americans. And now there are not very many Native Americans in North America. In America del Sur, there are more, there are más, but in Norte America, no, There's not very many left because of how the Europeans treated them. Okay, turn to the back of your page. We are going to answer some questions together. I want you to start by putting your name down at the bottom, just like I did. Okay, question number 1. Why did Columbus call the natives Indians? I want you to pause your video and try to answer. ¿Por qué Cristóbal Colón se llama los nativos americanos Indians? Okay, did you put down an answer? Pause your video now if you didn't. He thought that he had reached India and was talking to natives of that country. So he thought he was talking to Indians from India, not Native Americans. Pregunta 2. How did having metal pots and kettles help the Native Americans? So, como no. I'm not sure that word. Okay, I'm sorry. How did having metal pots, como tener los ollas de metal y cosas así, ayudar a los nativos americanos? Pause your video now and answer your question. Okay, they wanted to replace their clay pots and their woven baskets. The metal pots and kettles were much more durable and would last longer. Pregunta 3. Explain why you think it was beneficial for both the Native Americans and Europeans to trade supplies with each other. So, explicar por qué fue una buena cosa para los nativos americanos y los europeos a intercambiar las cosas. Okay, pause your video, put down your answer if you haven't done that already. So they each had things that the other did not. So they each had something that nobody else had, and they wanted to use it. So it helped them to have what the other did not, so they could each trade with each other. Pregunta 3. How come the Native Americans couldn't protect themselves from the diseases brought over from Europe? So, ¿por qué los nativos americanos no pueden luchar con las enfermedades de los europeos? Pause your video now if you have not done so and answer the question. Their immune system, so their bodies, their cuerpos, were not prepared to fight these diseases, and their medicines did not work on these diseases. Okay, pregunta 5. The Native Americans believed the earth was owned by everyone. What do you think the European explorers believed about the land? So los nativos americanos creen que la tierra fue la propiedad de todos. ¿Qué piensa usted de que los exploradores europeos creen sobre la tierra? Okay, pause your video now if you haven't done so. So, what do you think? ¿Qué piensa? Well, the Europeans believed that whoever got there first could have the land and everything on it. They also believed that whoever had the most power got to keep the land. And so they would fight over it because they wanted it. Now, if you didn't know that answer, that's fine. If you guessed that that's what it was, good for you. All right, that is it for today. You can go ahead and put away your Columbus book in a place where it's not going to get ruined. And I hope that you have a wonderful day today. Bye.